So we said that a snapshot is an attempt to capture the essence of our nation, make a still picture out of this continuous dynamic flow. And each such attempt reveals to us a deeper view of our nation. It makes the subtle qualities of the nation more tangible to us. It doesn't need to be perfect. It cannot be perfect at our point of development. It's just a picture of this moment. Yeah, and this is a great exercise for a national unit. It really sharpens the group antennas. It draws out of us new abilities, and it deepens the group process. And of course, for all of us who listen to a snapshot, it's a great gift, because it's getting a direct experience of a nation through the lens of a spiritual group. Yeah, last month a participant commented that listening to the snapshot of Denmark of last month, it gave her insight into her own nation, the USA. We learn a lot from sharing these snapshots. And of course, also when we hold a receptive, attentive space for a snapshot, for a nation, we give support to this nation. We stand witness to its soul shining through. So today, it's the Ukrainian group who will share with us their snapshot. And it will be a bit more detailed than usual because of the special circumstances. When we decided on this snapshot, it was quite a while ago. The crisis around the Ukraine wasn't as apparent back then. And so now we have this explosive friction of powerful opposing international forces swirling all around Ukraine. And we will make an effort to leave all these swirling international energies at the side and concentrate just on Ukraine as a living organism. And in this effort, let this effort be a support for the sense of self of this nation. So we will hold now just a very brief alignment, bringing us back into the meditative space, and then listen to Alexander, who will offer the snapshot for the Ukrainian group. So let us just take another deep breath. Returning into our inner silence. Standing in perfect poise, focused in the center of our head. Tuning in with each other again, heart to heart, mind to mind, soul to soul, pinnacle to pinnacle. our ashramic co-workers above, and the world of swirling forms below. As silent watchers, we direct now our awareness towards Ukraine. We tune in with a group of co-workers there who will guide us now.
This snapshot of Ukraine is a result of a group meditation during the new moon of Aquarius, held by our group. We meet twice a month online for sharing on events of the day and meditations invoking the soul of Ukraine since 2012. Our group has no name. Currently, there are 5 members. We recognize that the impressions we receive through these meditations are colored by the current circumstances of the geopolitical crisis around our country. We hold a focused intention that this crisis, as any crisis, is a beneficial opportunity for evolutionary development of the Ukrainian nation, which is undergoing a period of intensified development. This is a snapshot of the Ukrainian nation, not one of the country or of the state. Let's bring our focus to the physical plane. It's difficult to define when the Ukrainian nation, as we know it, started to form. Its current incarnation is still very young, 30 years old, considering the Declaration of Independence on August 24th, 1991. Thus, the modern natal chart defines Ukraine as Virgo Sun, 0 degree, Capricorn Rising, 16th degree, and Aquarius Moon, 22nd degree. However, this relatively young national persona has an old soul that matured through a turbulent history of many recorded incarnations, manifested in the form of multiple countries and states. The physical borders of modern Ukraine were defined during the 20th century, primarily in the span of the World War of 1914-1945. Ukraine has the largest territory among European countries, considering the countries whose full territory is within the continental outline. The territory of Ukraine covers expansive spaces from the open steppes on the south and east to the woodland on the north and west. The Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, together with the Crimean Mountains on the south and the Carpathian Mountains on the west, define the lowest coastal and highest points of the country. 2 of the biggest rivers by water volume in Europe flow through Ukraine, the Danube and Dnieper. Through rapid economic development of the last 2 centuries, expansive empty steppes and forested areas were transformed into one of the most extensive agricultural lands in the world. Currently, there is relatively small territory in the Carpathian Mountains that still has endemic forest, one of only few survived across the European continent. Only small patches of the original steppes survived under the protection of a few national parks. Intense industrialization during last century transformed virgin land on the east of the country into one of the biggest industrial hubs, resulting in extensive mining damage to the natural landscape. The current population of Ukraine is about 41.5 million. It's a sharp decline since 1992, when the population reached almost 52 million people. The decline is caused mostly by economic migration. The Ukrainian diaspora is one of the largest in the world. Its estimates vary between 10 and 20 million. The largest Ukrainian diaspora is in Russia and Canada. For the last 8 years, Ukraine has been in the state of war caused by the foreign invasion and occupation of parts of the country, Donbas in the east and Crimea in the south. Let's shift to the etheric plane. There are many intermixing energy currents that define diversity and richness of the Ukrainian etheric field. This pattern has been established throughout millennia as many tribes and races have been migrating back and forth through European steppes, forming a diverse ethnic amalgamation which we now know as Slavic people, of whom Ukrainians are a part. Nowadays, the Ukrainian nation consists of people with Ukrainian, Russian, Belarusian, Tatar, Jewish, Moldovan, and many more ethnic backgrounds. And yet, compared to other nations, Ukraine is still pretty ethnically homogeneous. Etheric vitality is probably the biggest riches of Ukraine. To a certain degree, it manifests as one of the biggest world's depositories of the most fertile soil, called Chernozem. It means black soil in Ukrainian. About 2/3 of the country's territory is gifted with Chernozem, which reaches up to 1.5-meter depth, about 5 feet. In the past, Ukraine was called the breadbasket of Europe. Another expression of the etheric richness comes with a sense of magical presence in space. Common traditions of pagan witchcraft are an intrinsic part of the Ukrainian cultural heritage. Until now, household witchcraft has been a common occurrence. There is a folk expression that every second woman in Ukraine is a witch. It was a surprising discovery for our group to recognize through our meditation that there is a sense of certain disconnection in the etheric plane of Ukraine. As if people play different sports at separate fields where everyone is busy with their own game. There is no recognition of unity on the higher etheric planes of Ukraine. There is a strong presence of the guardian Deva of Ukraine, Deva of Ukraine. It's an ancient being that is awakened and actively present in the etheric field. It is open to cooperation. Astral level. The astral, emotional plane in Ukraine is vibrant and full of vitality. Expectantly, it's still a predominant plane of focus for a large proportion of the nation. The astral plane is qualified by a strive for harmony and beauty. There is a recognizable tendency to beautify appearance on the outer plane. An example is a traditional female outfit embellished with exuberant decorations and flowers. Even now, in most places, it is considered culturally inappropriate for women not to wear makeup outside of their house. It was somewhat surprising for us to recognize that there is a certain calmness and almost purity of the collective astral plane. To some extent, this can be attributed to the collective traumatic experience of the war. There is not much space and desire for emotional dramas and turbulence when people know real grief and calamities. The Kama-Manasic plane, borderline region between emotional and lower mental planes, is expectantly hyperactive. In a way, it's a sign of our times anywhere in the world. The load of the collective trauma and the current experience of the daily increasing tension of uncertainty and an expectancy of war escalation define the psyche emotional climate in Ukraine these days. In a way, Ukrainians are a subject for a new type of warfare, emotional one. Years of life under constant emotional pressure and threat to physical security made people develop coping mechanisms that push the sense of threat to the periphery of consciousness in an attempt to continue normal life with all the relevant attributes and activities. Let's shift our focus to the mental level. Mental plane is not homogeneous. Traditionally, the lower mind is very active in representatives of the Ukrainian nation. Centuries of turbulent history and a characteristic collective strive to establish a decent living stimulated development of resourcefulness and practical savvy. The 20th century brought full literacy to Ukraine. According to UNESCO, it is 99.97%. It's the second place in the world. The country ranks fourth in the world in the number of people with a higher education, so those who have a university degree. Our group meditation on the node of the mental field of the nation gave us an impression of quality of fire and yet of emptiness. There are no new ideas that could inspire and lead the nation. Most new ideas circulated in the mental field come from abroad. The mental elite is working with previously formulated thought forms that seem not to be developing further. A lot of the mental capacity is focused on counteracting informational warfare and protecting national identity. However, there is a recognizable note of high potentiality for mental creativity. There is a national slogan often used as greetings. It is a call and response. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes. This is a strong thought form developed throughout decades of fight for independence. It is an acknowledgement of contributions of all who heroically served the nation in the past and are serving now. It is interesting that, in a way, this is an acknowledgement of the ongoing presence and support from the other side of the veil of all past heroes and servers. In the collective mind, they are actively present together with those who serve Ukraine now. Personality. Personality of Ukraine is still in the process of formation and transformation. There is one more traditional perception of the national personality, which is very practical and thrifty farmer, who is mostly concerned with their own household and doesn't want to be involved in community affairs. A traditional common proverb captures it well. My hut is on the outskirts. In a way, this personality is of an old good hobbit. Our group meditation provided us with yet another unexpected image of the national personality. A youth who is just emerging into an adult life. It's a new quality that started emerging in the last decade or two. There is a sense of unspoiled purity and inspiration, which one day can become wisdom. This persona is confused and self-absorbed. This inward focus may lead to self-recognition and understanding of its purpose one day. In a way, this personality of a young hobbit who was tasked with carrying the ring of power back to destroy it and save us all. There is a strong sense that the personality of Ukraine vibrates on the third ray of active intelligence. And let us now bring our focus to the soul of Ukraine. Our perception is that the soul of Ukraine is on the soft rays line. It's either the second ray of love and wisdom or the fourth ray of harmony through conflict. There is a strong sense of an ancient entity that matured throughout ages, absorbing the experience of many incarnations. Its path has long been trodden, but the modern day personality is only dimly aware of the present soul's light. And therefore, the soul is patiently waiting in deep meditation. There are several archetypes that serve as guiding ideas for the Ukrainian nation. In a way, those are the expression of the radiating quality and the note of the soul of Ukraine. The traditional folk sense of the soul of Ukraine is that of the caring mother, Nenka, who is waiting and praying for you no matter where you are and what you are doing. The main cathedral of the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, the heart center of Ukraine as we perceive it, is Saint Sophia of Kiev, an Orthodox Christian cathedral that was built in the 11th century. Sophia is a female manifestation of the universal wisdom. Under the ancient dome of this cathedral, there is a huge mosaic image of the Mother, blessing everyone with your hands stretched out from the heart. The node of the soul of Ukraine is radiantly present in this sacred space. One of the prevalent notes of the Ukrainian soul is the strive for freedom. For centuries, the territory of the modern-day Ukraine has been an open space where freedom reigned, a sanctuary where those suppressed would flee, escaping repressors in their own countries. The national symbol of Ukraine, a trident or trezub, an ancient symbol used in this land for centuries, has an inscripted word, voля. In Ukrainian, voля has two meanings, freedom and will. Freedom and will. In our perception, the will to freedom is another distinct note of the soul of Ukraine. During the Orange Revolution of 2004-2005 and the Revolution of Dignity of 2013-2014, there was a strong sense of the energy of the national soul and the energy of the Christ present on the streets among all who gathered in protest. The slogan that emerged from the last revolution and that is still inscripted in the national psyche is freedom is our religion. Freedom is our religion.
Let us hold for another moment the quality of Ukraine in our group field, and let us affirm the sense of self of Ukraine in integrity and wholeness. Thank you, Ukrainian group. Yeah. Let us open the floor now to share our reflections and impressions. And yes, we are collecting all of these gems and we weave out of them the next steps together in the lab. And of course, also the Ukrainian group will be grateful for any of your impressions, either now during this webinar or also in written form later.
I am left impressed. I am left impressed by the maternal soul of the Ukraine, which is so strong, as mothers are. And she's so unconditionally patient. She knows and invokes the potential within her children. And that's inspired by her ever-present love. She is so brave and so true.
Hi, this is Helen from Jerusalem. It is so overwhelming, both the energies of the meditation and the subtle qualities and the snapshot, a very powerful snapshot of the Ukrainian group. In the meditation, it's difficult for me to put it in words, but when we went into this open space, this telepathic open space, I was wondering what is the quality of my nation? How do I open to the soul of my nation? And I stayed for a long while with this question. And then it was well beyond my nation, because I don't know how to link with the soul of my nation at this point. But I saw, I felt that this, well beyond my own nation, the soul of nations is encompassing, pure. It's like if I link to my own soul or the soul of a group. It's a blending or being in the middle of polarities, having this clarity, this cleanliness. I really don't know how to put it in words. It's like blending the heart and the mind. And when the heart and the mind are together, it allows a clean discernment. And it was very powerful for me. And the words don't come to express what I experienced. And the same, I had the same feeling with this, with the triangle, this triangle between USA, Britain, and Russia. This blending, this powerful image, merging the polarities on the planetary level and allowing discernment. And Sasha, the way you wrote the work that the work of your group was something that has to do with this discernment. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Thank you, really, and thank you to the group.
Thank you, Helen. There's several hands raised. Belinda, you're unmuted. Please unmute yourself. And also, Katya, you're unmuted.
I just wanted to say thank you very much. I think that was an extremely inspiring talk. And I want to say how much we deeply appreciate the opportunity of working with all you people, and particularly in this forum, and the high level of creativity that you have brought into the DK work at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda.
This is Margot calling from the west coast of Canada. And it was further to what Helen was saying about the blending and merging. The final image I had in my meditation was one of connecting a hose to a nozzle. That the power of the water in the image that was coming through the hose was so strong that it had to be dispersed broadly through a nozzle. When I first heard the words at the beginning before we went into meditation, the words pure love, intuition, discernment, they sparked a real burning sensation just forward of my crown, right on the skull. It really made me wake up, if you will, and pay attention. Initially in the meditation, I saw a giant cylindrical column containing upward rising particles. And then an awareness that is what is happening politically in Canada is mobilizing awareness and change at a very subtle level. Not only is it mobilizing people in the manifest world, but this is certainly mobilizing at a very deep level. And then that was followed by the image of connecting a hose to a nozzle. I am still so moved and touched by Sasha's presentation of Ukraine. My husband has Ukrainian heritage, and my cousin was also married to a Ukrainian, and I've had the opportunity to experience some of the culture and the deep, ancient wisdom and the joy and the color of life that shines through this culture, that is shining through this nation, and sending blessings and gratitude.
Yes, so it's interesting. It's Katya. It's interesting to me that although I have very many defined impressions about the nation, during the meditation, the image that came was a sphere of light. It wasn't bright, but it was luminous and completely undefined. It's as if something that is yet to happen, present, and whatever is present is not understood or made up or destined. It is just the very beginning. And then again, beginning would be interpretation and interpretation, but it's just something very potent. And the potency is extremely strong, yet not anchored and not defined. So it is a very interesting impression. I would not expect anything like that, but yes. And completely not connected with the accents and tensions that are currently part of the political situation and inner and outer tensions and cleavages and completely not uninvolved outside. So it is a very strange and unexpected impression. Thank you.
Katja, this is it's exactly what happened to me also when I opened up, and still when I do this opening up to the soul of Germany. Also, there's something completely unexpected, not connected to anything on the ground or anything that I have ever thought about my vision of what the German soul may be, undefined, as you say. And I think this is really this is what we are now opening to, something that is beyond our grasp, something really new and unexpected. This is where we are aiming towards in order to understand, to meet the soul of our nation. And yeah, by doing this together, all of us, and kind of mumbling, trying somehow to put words to our experience, something new can be born into our consciousness, individually and as national units, and now also, in this international intergroup space. We are together penetrating into a new level of consciousness where these souls of nations can be met. That's my impression here. Thanks. And potency, that's what you also said. It's so potent, but not yet taking shape. Yeah.
This is the native from Denmark. You just spoke about Uta, the soul of Germany. I think that Angela Merkel was a very good symbol of your fourth ray soul. She was very good to negotiate and to bring harmony through conflicts between nations and in the nation too. So I think there could be something about what Risa wrote about, or somebody wrote about if the president of the Ukraine is representing the soul ray. I think it's possible. Thank you.
Thanks for this reflection.
Yeah, there are several sharings that came as questions, so I reposted them in the chat, and you can read them. Yeah, and there was one question from Yoka about President of Ukraine, if he is expressing soul quality of Ukraine. I think any president just being in that position, being in that stool of director, so to speak, on the national behalf, is become a subject for the soul of the nation influence. And in the critical times as it is now for Ukraine, those people in those positions of focused radiance of soul of their nation, they become the transmitters of that energy and expressors of that energy. Even though President Zelensky is quite a controversial figure, as probably most of political figures everywhere in the world, but it's also part of the reality that we have to deal with. We ourselves, each of us, as individually, is controversial figures on some level, and our nations are. And so, till we reach certain level, that's a part of the reality that we have to deal with. But in the crisis situation, we open up to the soul energy, and that's when the energy of the soul starts shining through. So that's what we started our presentation with, that any crisis is a beneficent opportunity for the soul to shine. And one impression that came today, we had right before the lab, we had our group meeting, Ukrainian group full moon meeting, and the topic of group unity for the nations came through. This current crisis, in a way, pushes all the nations to find the way how to cooperate with each other and how to express the unity of purpose. And that's especially true for the European Union now. So as we meditate on the awakening on the souls of our nations, it's another good focus for us to hold, that it's through the challenges of our times, our nations to learn to work as a group, learning group action and group unity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Today to focus on the triangle of US, UK, Russia was for me of special importance. And what Deborah wrote here, Golden Dome of Light overlighting Ukraine, which lit up the triangle between Russia, Britain, and US. Find that a very powerful image. I also had this to see Ukraine at the center of this triangle. And what a power of radiation this has, potentially. Gives a sense of what of the notes of our nations, once they will be sounded, the soul notes, what kind of Aquarian world we will live in.
This is Annette from Denmark. During this crisis of Corona, our Prime Minister has introduced good word called samfundssind in Danish. You can perhaps translate it as community, a sense of the community, because you are not only protecting yourself, you are protecting others too, others who potentially could be weaker and could be sick if you are not keeping your distance and washing hands and all this. And this sense of community, I think, is what we get stronger in times of crisis. And I think it's the natural evolution. First, you're aware of your family and protecting that. Then perhaps the town you are in, and bigger area, and then in crisis the whole country. And we are growing that space to in Europe, in the EU. All countries are trying to work together, and it is not easy. And the whole world is trying to work together in the United Nations. It is also difficult. And I think this sense of community is what is being stronger in times of crisis. And like the president of Ukraine said, today is the day of blue and yellow, the day of holding the country together, because it's potentially the day they could be invaded. And it is a very strong and frightening statement, but also very proud. And I think it's very encouraging for the soul of the nation. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hello, this is Tina from United States. During the meditation, when I contacted the soul of the nation, it was crying. The soul was crying it wants to manifest. It is in deep meditation, tremendous tension, trying to break that veil to manifest. Very unexpected, but thank you.
Mm. These unexpected impressions, they leave quite an imprint in us, right? This is waking up something in us into action, into answering this call of the soul, crying to manifest. We have a little inkling of the soul, but then there is so much inertia still, so much density still. This is my experience of myself, that, yeah, offering ourselves, or convincing ourselves to say yes, and making this effort to wake up and answer to this cry of the national soul. This is what this crisis is the opportunity for us to do.
I want to add that our group holds daily meditation, subjective meditation at 6 p.m. GMT, visualizing the circle around Ukraine, like of all people of goodwill standing together with devas and angels, holding the protective ring pass knot around Ukraine. So if you can, please join us.
6 p.m. GMT. What, say maybe again the visualization, seeing a circle of people and devas around Ukraine to stand and
Hand to hand, holding together this protective circle, together with angels and devas, visualizing the lights above Ukraine as a dome, protective dome. There is a special word in Ukrainian which is called oberih, which means like protection. It's in a way it's one of those archetypes that's in the Ukrainian national psyche. Bring past around.
Since when are you doing it, Sasha?
We started doing it 2 days ago.
Oh.
And it's daily at 6 p.m. GMT.
Yeah, wow, I very much resonate with this. And it connects, for me, it does connect to the triangle of Russia, Britain, and the US. Yeah.
Mark, you unmuted?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear that this meditation is going on. This is Mark in Sarasota, Florida, about the protecting of Ukraine in this way. I will definitely participate with this. And I liked your words that are optimistic, Sasha, that there is some purpose to all of this, and it is indeed acting toward uniting so many countries like never before. I saw that yesterday when I was meditating, and why in the world is this happening? And that's what I received. So the other thing in our Monday peace, Jerusalem Peace webcam, there was the real sense, which I shared with the group also, is that the masters want us to hold the vision and just keep on keeping on, keep moving forward. So that's my sharing. God bless everybody. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Mark, can you mute? Okay. All right. We are coming to the end. Is there anyone else who would like to share something before we close? Yeah, it seems that our lab is moving into more concrete worldly work here. Let's see, let's let all these impressions settle and see where it will take us, also in response to what's going on in the world. A lot of gratitude for what we are here weaving together. Thank you, everyone.